So this is it. We're going to talk about the Pilates program this week. So don't go away. You don't want to miss this. Well, thanks for coming back. I really appreciate it. For the last 4 weeks, we've been talking about stress incontinence, overactive bladder. Last week I presented kind of weird model about how vaginal prolapse occurs, and I appreciate all the views and all the shares. Take a minute now, hit the like button. Appreciate that. If you haven't subscribed, please do it, and that'll make these videos more accessible to more people. So the Pilates program, how did this come to be? Well, I came home from the work I'd been doing in West Africa about 10 years ago, wanting to make a program of pelvic floor performance training that was more practicable, more effective than the traditional recommendation to go home and do your Kegel exercises. Arnold Kegel suggested that back in 1948, and it was a really good suggestion, really important. And yet, we all know not that many people do that type of exercise. We call it isometric exercise, whereby you sit in a chair, sit in your car, squeeze the pelvic floor over and over again. Not very practicable. We can do better than that. So much progress has been made in other areas. Medications have gotten more sophisticated. Surgery has gotten better and more sophisticated. Why haven't we made improvements in the area of exercise physiology, which everyone agrees is the first-line treatment for stress incontinence, overactive bladder, and I hopefully convinced you prolapse is a fitness issue as well. So, how did we go about doing this? Well, we wanted to create a program of movement because we thought movements would be more practicable, more likely to be incorporated into a regular fitness routine than the traditional Kegel exercises. So we studied the effects of 120 movements on the pelvic floor using subjects that had had children but weren't experts in Pilates movements or personal training movements or yoga movements. And from that data, we picked 10 movements. We picked movements that we felt were safe for the public at large. We picked movements that provided natural pelvic floor engagement, even if you couldn't do a Kegel exercise, because what makes this program more effective is the fact that if you perform that Kegel vigorously and in a series of rapid, strong contractions while the pelvic floor is already partially engaged, you get much more muscle activity per contraction than if you're just sitting in a chair doing an isolated Kegel exercise. And that's it's as simple as that. That's how it works. And although we originally felt everyone should do all 10 movements in sort of a traditional exercise routine paradigm, turned out that wasn't true. What you assume at first often turns out to be wrong, and this was one of the things that we've modified since the DVD was made. And so now what we do is we have people pick 2, maybe 3 movements that are their best movements and have them focus just on those. The general recommendation is 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes in the evening while you're training. Once you derive the effect you want, the maintenance phase is just 5 minutes once a day. So let's unbox the Pilates program and see what's inside, okay? The program comes with a whole bunch of stuff, and it includes the original DVD, excellent piece of work that will describe in exquisite detail how to do each of the movements and how to make the movements more difficult, more challenging as you progress, as you get stronger. So you want to watch that for sure. The movement guide for people that don't want to watch a DVD takes you through each of the 10 movements as well, and provides pictures and a very detailed narrative about how to do these movements, including how to use your breath while you do these movements. Turns out breath is really important, and we've measured in the lab the effect of breathing appropriately during the Pilates movements, and it's tremendous. What we use is a technique called percussive breathing. Percussive breathing, and that's where when you get to the portion of each movement where you're pulsing the movement, that is to say, you're holding the movement at the point where the pelvic floor is naturally engaged, and now you're making a small range of motion and adding a voluntary Kegel exercise or pelvic floor contraction in rapid succession. And each time you add that voluntary contraction, you exhale quickly and forcefully with your mouth open. So it's every time you do a pulsing phase, and that really boosts the strength of pelvic floor contraction and helps patients get better quicker. And that's really what you need. You got to make patients better quick, so they believe in this method and so that they're more likely to persist long term. 20 centimeter Pilates ball, you have to blow it up. That is the most difficult part of the Pilates program, but it's not that difficult. And this is not a toy, so you don't want to leave this around where kids are going to pick it up or where your dog's going to run away with it and puncture it, right? So when you're not using it, put this away, take it out, and use it if you have chosen to include one of the 3 movements where this ball is utilized between your knees to provide progressive resistance and a more powerful pelvic floor contraction. So those three items were included in the original Pilates kit, but what's new about the Pilates program are these things. So first, the educational guide. This provides more backstory about why we do what we do. It talks about the neuroscience and exercise physiology, the underpinnings, the science behind the Pilates program. And I think it helps if you understand why the Pilates system works so well. It helps you, I think, have more faith in the system and makes you more likely for clients to persist with the program and more likely for them to derive benefit. But the real guts of the program, what's new about it, is the program guide. This is structured to include all of the materials that we would use in the clinic if we were lucky enough to see you face to face, right? And so, for instance, there are pre-training metrics. That is to say, Bladder Diary that provides objective data, what's going on with your bladder when you start the program. It should reflect the problem you want to fix. You would record simply with a check mark for how often you're voiding, how often you have a leak, how often you do a pad change, and what you're drinking, how much and when. There's advice about diet in here as well. You remember we talked about avoiding coffee, tea, alcohol, and soda? Well, you might be surprised what your habits are once you start recording them. Just simply doing the diary seems to be of benefit to patients. And then after you do that, you want to quickly fill out this symptom questionnaire called the C10 symptom questionnaire that lets us score the degree of bother associated with your bladder complaint. And these are going to be used after 28 days of training to compare to the post-training metrics, right? So you do the diary again, you do the C10 symptom questionnaire again, and we help you calculate your percent improvement. What we're looking for is a 50% improvement in your objective and subjective symptoms after 28 days of training. And we know from our experience in the clinic that patients that are compliant with this program, that are putting in a few minutes in the morning, a few minutes in the evening, 80% of those patients achieve a 50% improvement in bladder symptoms in just 28 days of training. And that's totally compatible with what you'd expect with a fitness program. If you've done a fitness program before, you know you start to see results after 4 weeks. And since we know already bladder control is a fitness issue, bladder starts to get better as well. It doesn't end there, but it tells us you're on the right curve so that if you persist, 2 to 3 months after that, you should be satisfied with bladder control and voiding frequency. In addition to that, there is a section in the program guide that helps you select your best movements. So you remember, you're not going to be doing all 10 movements. You're going to pick 2, maybe 3 movements. I think most people use 2 movements. And this allows you to score. Do you like the movement? Does the movement cause any pain? Does the movement give you a strong sense of pelvic floor tightening when you do it? That feeling you get when you do a Kegel exercise. And once you've studied the movements, you've practiced them for a while, you can use this worksheet to score each movement and then use that score to pick your best 3 movements. Finally, there's an exercise log, and this you can tear out as perforations that you can post then someplace where you'll see it frequently, and this is going to help keep you more accountable as you work through the program. And it cues you at the end to start your second bladder diary and symptom questionnaire. And that is the improvement in the Pilates program that we've been using for the last year, right? But what's ultra new, what we're just implementing now, is even better. And so using all these tools that replicate a clinical experience in conjunction with a coach really makes this an effective program. So we've trained all these instructors, right? I think we have 5,000 instructors trained worldwide, about 4,000 in North America. We have 1,000 in Japan. To my Japanese students that are watching these videos and sharing these videos, arigato gozaimasu. I really appreciate everything you're doing. And for everyone in Western Europe, the UK, North America, thank you as well. Please share this video if you like it, if you subscribe to it, if you hit the notification bell, it will make it more accessible to other people. And leave me some comments. It's getting lonely when nobody leaves comments. I want to know what you're interested. What do you think? Is this terrible? Is this great? Do you need it to be done differently? Do you understand what I'm saying? All these things or questions you might have, I can answer. And so please drop a comment below and let me do a better job helping you. So how do you get a coach? Well, we have this video conferencing platform available now. If you go to www.renogyn.com, you'll be able to click on a link that'll help you get set up with a free video consultation to talk about the program and whether it might be right for you. And if you do choose to adopt the program, you'll have 4 visits with one of our continence coaches to walk you through the steps of the program, to answer your questions, to give you support, to give you pointers and tips, and keep you more accountable, give you encouragement, so that you can get the benefit that this program offers. So that's something that's brand new, and there's nothing like that on the market that basically brings the instructor into your home. And it's convenient, it's private, and most of all, it's effective, right? This deserves a try before you go to sleep in the operating room, before you start an expensive medication that you're going to take for the rest of your life. Why wouldn't you try a fitness program first? So I look forward to hearing from you all. Thank you again for checking out this video. And next week, I'm going to show you what the VESI Lab is all about. That stands for Video EMG Synchronization, and it's the tool we use in the lab to actually measure the effect of each movement on the pelvic floor and help clients that come and see us select movements that are the best for them. There's a few VESI labs around North America, and if you're in the Western United States, visiting us in Northern Nevada, might not be too challenging. We'd love to see you. Give us a call. Make an appointment. www.renogyn.com. If you're in Michigan, we have a lab in Michigan we can refer you to. And Heather just does an amazing job. And so it's a real privilege to get to work with her. And she's made just excellent use of the VESI Lab in Holland, Michigan, where she lives. I'll see you guys next week. Thanks so much for being here. I look forward to talking to you more.